19 years is a long time to share a roof with someone. You stop thinking about my life and her life. It just becomes our life. Same coffee mugs every morning, same side of the bed every night. Conversations that don't even need words because you already know what the other person's thinking. Our days had a rhythm. I'd wake up before her, make coffee, set out the sugar just the way she liked. She'd pad into the kitchen wearing that old robe I'd bought her in our first year. The one with the fraying sleeves she refused to throw out. I'd hand her the mug, and she'd give me a sleepy smile. That was our language. We'd been through moves, job changes, hard years, easy years, the kind of shared history that felt unshakable. I thought we were past the point of surprises. Flashback. I can still see our 10th anniversary dinner, dim lights, candles flickering on the table. She wore that green dress that made her eyes look even brighter. We'd laugh the whole night, trading inside jokes nobody else would understand. In that moment, I remember thinking, this is it. This is the life I'll grow old in. I didn't know it then. But sometimes comfort isn't proof of strength. Sometimes it's just the soft blanket covering cracks you haven't noticed yet. It didn't happen all at once. There was no fight, no sharp words, just a shift. Subtle at first. The kind of thing you can almost convince yourself you imagined. She stopped meeting me at the door when I came home. Used to be, I'd barely have my boots off before she was hugging me, asking about my day. Now, the door closed behind me to silence. Sometimes she wouldn't even look up from her phone. Conversations got shorter. I'd ask how her day was, and she'd say, fine, without looking up. Touch became rare. My hand would find hers on the couch, and she'd pull it away like it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. Not to me. Flashback, I remembered. The way she used to throw her arms around my neck the second I walked in, or the nights she'd run to the porch just to watch me pull into the driveway, smiling like I'd been gone for weeks. That woman felt like a stranger now, even though she was sitting right in front of me. I tried to tell myself it was stress, work a phase. We've been married nearly 2 decades. People go through lulls. But there was something in her eyes. Now, a distance. And no matter how much I tried to bridge it, she seemed to drift further away. It started with the phone, always face down on the table now, always locked. If I walked into the room, she'd tilt the screen away, just slightly, like it was nothing. But I noticed then came the late nights. Out with friends, she'd say, no names, no details. Just vague smiles and the sound of her keys dropping into the bowl when she came home hours later than she used to. I'd ask who she was with, and her tone would shift, sharp, defensive. Why are you asking so many questions? Shoot back like I'd accused her of something. I hadn't, not yet. Flashback. There was a time she'd tell me everything without me even asking. Her voice would light up when she shared little stories about her day, from the lady at the grocery store to the song that played in her car. Her smile was open, real. I couldn't remember the last time I saw that smile. The gut feeling grew, the kind you can't explain but can't shake either. It wasn't one big thing. It was 1,000 tiny ones, all pointing in the same direction. I didn't want to follow them. Not yet. It's funny how it doesn't happen all at once. It's little moments that start stacking up until they don't feel little anymore. She started canceling plans, the kind we never used to cancel. Friday dinners at that Italian place we both loved. Sunday walks through the park. Now it was always something. A friend needed help. She had to stay late. She was just too tired tonight. At first, I believed her. Of course I did. Years together, trust was the default. But trust has a sound when it starts to crack, and I could hear it in her voice. One night I set the table for 2, lit a candle, opened a bottle of wine. She texted me an hour before she was supposed to be home. Don't wait up. Something came up. Something came up again. I remember just standing there staring at that untouched plate across from me, the pasta cooling, the wine glass catching the candlelight but staying empty. The chair looked wrong without her in it. Too empty too. Final. I wasn't supposed to be home that early. My shift got cut short, and I figured, why not surprise her? Used to love surprises. Back in the day, I'd walk through that front door unannounced, and she'd light up like I'd just come home from deployment, arms around my neck before I could even put my bag down. But this time, the moment my key slid into the lock, something in the air felt different. The house was too quiet, except it wasn't. There was this faint sound, a murmur, low voices, like the TV was on somewhere in the distance. Only it wasn't the TV. Turned the knob slowly. The hinges creaked the same way they always had, but it sounded louder than usual. It's almost like it was announcing me. The living room came into view in pieces. The corner of the couch, the edge of the coffee table, and a pair of unfamiliar shoes on the rug. Men's shoes. My heartbeat slowed, not sped up. That's how you know something's really wrong, when your body just steadies itself, like it's bracing. Flashback. A quick cut to a memory. Her running into my arms years ago when I surprised her on a rainy afternoon. Her laughter was the first thing I heard. Back then, the sound was pure joy. Now, all I could hear was the muffled tone of a man's voice in my home. The rest of the living room unfolded in front of me like a slow-motion scene from a movie I didn't remember agreeing to be in. He was sitting there on my couch, leg crossed, arm draped lazily over the backrest. Like this was his Saturday afternoon routine. He didn't jump up, didn't look guilty. He just gave me this half smile the kind strangers give when they think they've wandered into the right place. "Hey," he said, like we were old friends, like we'd met before. And then, from the hallway she appeared. Her eyes widened. Just enough to give her away before she tried to mask it. But I saw at that split second of oh no. Nobody said my name. Nobody explained why. Derek, because that's who he turned out to be, was lounging in my living room like he'd paid rent. I didn't need an introduction. The way her body stiffened, the way he stayed seated but leaned back, like this was some kind of unspoken challenge, it all told me enough. Flashback, her voice, soft and certain, from years ago. Our home is our sanctuary. No one comes. Between us here, the memory hit like a punch. This place, our place, suddenly felt foreign. I let my eyes move between them, slow. Neither of them filled the silence. Maybe they thought I'd yell. Maybe they thought I'd demand answers. Instead, I just stood there. Because sometimes, silence is louder than rage. I didn't raise my voice, didn't take a step closer. I just looked at him and asked, "So, who are you?" He straightened his posture, probably thinking it made him look more confident. "Name's Derek," he said, offering this slow nod like we were equals, shaking hands over a deal. I didn't take his hand. "And what exactly are you doing in my house, Derek?" He glanced at her, not for permission, but for guidance, like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. She opened her mouth, but the words got tangled on the way out. We were just talking, I repeated, letting the word hang there like a weight neither of them could lift. Derek stepped in, eager to fill the silence. "We're friends. We've been friends for a while now. She's been going through some stuff, and I've been, there for her. The phrase landed heavy. I locked eyes with him, and for a moment the room went completely still, like even the air was holding its breath. He didn't flinch, but his jaw tightened, and I could tell he was measuring me from the corner of my vision. I caught her shifting her weight, biting the inside of her cheek. She was waiting for me to explode, to give her a reason to turn this into my fault, but I didn't give her one instead. I took a small step back, letting my gaze flick to the reflection of all three of us in the window. An awkward, a fractured little tableau, and I realized the picture told the whole story. I didn't need to yell, didn't need to throw anything, or demand explanations. The truth was already sitting right there in front of me in my living room, wearing a smug smile and my wife's trust. I'd seen enough. Somewhere deep in my chest, under the dull ache, something clicked into place. I thought back to moments in my life when walking away took more strength than holding my ground, leaving a good soldier behind when orders said to move. At turning my back on an argument, I could have won because winning wasn't worth the cost. This was one of those moments. I didn't announce my decision. I just turned and headed upstairs in the bedroom. I pulled the old canvas duffel from the closet. The zipper stuck for a second, like it didn't want to be part of this either. I packed slowly, just the essentials: jeans, t-shirts, a toothbrush, my boots. Each item folded with precision. Each fold a small reclaiming of control. Before I zipped the bag, I looked around the room, not the furniture, not the walls, but the moments they'd seen. Birthdays, anniversaries, lazy Sundays. All of it quietly erased by the scene downstairs. I slung the bag over my shoulder at the front door. I paused just long enough to glance back, one last look, not at her or at him, but at the house itself. The home I'd built, now just a shell. And then I stepped out into the cool night air. The first morning in my new place felt strange. No familiar creak in the hallway, no scent of her coffee brewing, just quiet and space. I jogged through streets I didn't know, breathing in the cool air. Every step felt lighter than the last. My mind wasn't on her or him. It was on the rhythm of my feet, the sound of my breath, the way the sunrise cut through the clouds like it had been waiting for me. In the evenings, I called old friends, the kind I hadn't spoken to in years, but who picked up like no time had passed. We laughed about things that had nothing to do with the past few months. Real laughter, the kind that doesn't hide behind anything. My apartment was small, but clean. Everything in it was mine, chosen by me. No ghosts in the corners. No shadows hanging over the dinner table. Day by day, I realized that healing wasn't some grand moment. It was a collection of small ones. The smell of fresh paint, the weight of a new set of keys in my pocket, the way I could leave my phone on the counter without wondering who might call. Life didn't just go on. It got better. Sometimes I think about that night, not often, just enough to remind myself how far I've come. There's no bitterness left, no desire to rewrite the ending. She made her choice. I made mine. And walking away didn't take anything from me. It gave me back parts of myself I didn't realize I'd lost. I learned that losing someone isn't the same as losing yourself. And sometimes, what you think is the end is just the first step towards something better. The ocean stretched out in front of me, endless and calm. I took a deep breath, letting the wind fill my lungs. Somewhere behind me was the life I'd left. Somewhere ahead, the one I was building, without looking back. I started walking,